Now, France will go to polls on the 10th of April. This is the first round of the country's presidential elections. This will determine who will run European Union's second largest economy and its only member with a permanent UN Security Council seat. So the first question is, who will win the elections? The incumbent is clearly a favourite in the opinion polls. President Emmanuel Macron is leading, but his projected margin of victory is narrow. He is facing stiff competition from far right's Marine Le Pen. Even if he succeeds, a narrow win could mean trouble for Macron. It will affect his capacity to implement any new reforms. So what are the elections being fought over? Currently, biggest issues of the polls include the war in Ukraine, France's economy, immigration policies, and the country's security. The election campaign started during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So the polls showed an initial boost for Macron, but that has now waned. Opinion polls show purchasing power is now the top concern for voters. There is a huge increase in energy prices and growing inflation. Le Pen has successfully focused her campaign on that. Economy remains the key focus for the French voters. Surveys show voters are unhappy with Macron's economic policy, but unemployment is at its lowest level in years. But voters do not think any of his opponents would do better. Macron's handling of COVID-19 pandemic could also play a huge role here, especially at a time when the restrictions have been largely lifted across France. The use of private consultants by the Macron government has also emerged as a surprise issue. So are there any surprises that the world should watch out for? 1. Voter uncertainty. Opinion polls show many are unsure who they will vote for. The turnout could be, much lower than usual. This is adding more and more uncertainty to the elections. Polls have for weeks consistently pointed to Macron leading the first round, but Le Pen is closing the gap right now. The far right's Jean-Luc Mélenchon polls third, only few points behind Le Pen. Le Pen is the most likely candidate to face Macron in a second round runoff, but even Mélenchon could be a surprise scenario here. So why does the French polls matter so much? Russia's invasion of Ukraine has sent shockwaves through Europe and beyond. The winner of France's election will have to deal with the fallout. Now that Britain has left the EU, France is the bloc's main military power. It's also the undisputed second biggest economy in the EU. Angela Merkel's exit as German Chancellor has given Macron a prominent role in Europe. The next French president will face soaring public deficits, a pension system many say needs reform, and moves to reindustrialize France. The political landscape is still feeling the shockwaves from the 2017 polls. The reconstruction of both the right and the left will now depend on how these polls play out. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.